How is everybody doing on this beautiful Tuesday morning? I just wanted to throw this video out here because I know there's so many people that are going to be so hopeful today, because today's the big day that Trump is going to be arrested. And they just keep buying it. 7 years nonstop illegal investigations, all this bullcrap and everything like that, and they're still hopeful. I mean, it's kind of like, them keep voting Dem and all that for Democrats and all that and hoping for a change. I mean, they just never learn. I mean, they are gluttons for punishment and all that, and there's nobody to blame but themselves. All right, so Donald Trump is on his way to a second arrest in less than 3 months. A federal grand jury indicted the former president on 8 June on charges stemming from his alleged unlawful retention of national defense information, adding another criminal case to legal pressures against the twice impeached former president as he seeks to win his party's nomination in next year's Republican presidential primary. Twice impeached. And I love using Democrat leaning posts and things like this and all that, just so they can't say, "Oh, fake Fox News." Ooh. Even though they've been sued once and all that, compared to Democrat run media and all that being sued many times. Yeah, but let's forget about that because we never want to focus on the other side because it's just too depressing. All right, Mr. Trump himself first revealed the indictment in a series of posts on his Truth Social platform just one day after the Independent reported that federal prosecutors had planned to ask a grand jury to return an indictment against him. The 49-page indictment was unsealed on Friday, 9 June, revealing 37 counts against the ex-president. They include willful retention of national defense information, conspiracy of obstruct justice, withholding a document or record, corruptly concealing a document or record, concealing a document in federal investigations, scheme to conceal, and false statements and representation. A potential sentence, if convicted, could include decades in prison. But you know what? At least there was no destruction of the subpoenaed evidence. At least he didn't go as far as destroying a bunch of evidence and everything like that. If he did that, he probably would have been all right and would have got away with everything. There probably wouldn't have been any charges at all brought against him, like everybody else. Following his indictment, Mr. Trump declared that he was an innocent man. This is election interference and continuation of the greatest witch hunt of all time. He ranted. The corrupt Biden administration has informed my attorneys that I have been indicted seemingly over the boxes hoax, he wrote, using the phrase he has frequently used to describe the long-running probe. In a subsequent post, Mr. Trump said he had been summoned to appear at the federal courthouse in Miami on Tuesday, 13 June at 3 p.m. today. At that time, Mr. Trump is expected to be placed under arrest and booked before appearing before a judge. It is unlikely, though, Mr. Trump will be jailed following the arraignment. Instead, the proceedings are expected to follow what happened early April when Mr. Trump appeared in Manhattan court to face criminal charges following Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's investigation into hush money payments leading up to the 2016 presidential elections. So he's going to go in, he's going to come out, and he's going to leave. Same thing that happened in New York City. So all you guys hoping and praying that he's getting arrested, it's not going to happen. The Democrats are not going to get their photo with him in the handcuffs. They're not going to get their perp walk like they want to, so they can plaster it all over the airways until election time, which will just be interfering and meddling once again. The charges come just days after a last-ditch attempt by his legal team to convince Department of Justice officials not to seek charges against him in the classified documents probe, which began early last year after National Archives and Records Administration officials discovered more than 100 documents bearing classification markings while inventorying a group of 15 boxes that were retrieved from Mr. Trump's Palm Beach, Florida residence. Yes, the one that they raided. Even though other people had classified documents back when they was a senator with no authority at all to have any possession of them at all. But Trump gets raided, but the other guy and everything like that, he's allowed months and months and months to hold on to them until after the general election. About allowed to go to his beach house and everything like that for 2 weeks, and then warned that, hey, we're going to come to your house and everything like that. And look, thanks for the heads up. Don't you wish every investigation was like that? Give you a heads up and all that before they actually come to investigate with their lawyers. Too bad they denied that happening with Trump. Kind of seems like it's all political. The discovery led NARA officials to notify the Department of Justice, which kicked off an investigation into how the documents ended up at Mr. Trump's property. Throughout the investigation, prosecutors and investigators harbored concerns that the ex-president was not being truthful about whether he had returned any and all classified documents in his possession to the government custody as required under the Presidential Records Act, a post-Watergate era law which states that all records of a presidential administration are the property of government must be turned over to NARA when a president leaves office. Even though every president before him has done this, and this has never been an issue, but this is just one of the many and a long line of things that they're trying to use to interfere and slander. I mean, they've done it for the last 7 years nonstop. I mean, this is election interference and election fraud on a massive scale. If this happened to anybody, I'd be pissed off. If it happened to a Democrat, I'd be pissed off. Because plain and simple, fair is fair, wrong is wrong. Okay? If he did something wrong, he should be held accountable. But it should be held to the same extent that everybody else is. You get that, right? It isn't, oh, Trump can't do no wrong, let's ignore everything he does. No, that's not how it is. They've gone after him nonstop for 7 years with no evidence, all their BS. We got the smoking gun, concrete evidence. Well, where is that evidence? We've been waiting for 7 years because you said you had concrete evidence and everything's always fell apart. I mean, they actually had to change the law in New York just to go after him to get him for the indictment in New York from something that happened 29 years ago. Seems kind of weird. So I just wanted to put this out because I know there's so many people that are hopeful for today. And just like they said, it ain't going to happen. He ain't going to be arrested. They're not going to put him in handcuffs. He's going to walk in, do their little blah, 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 and then walk out and leave, just like he did in New York. Because an indictment is not a charge of guilt. An indictment is saying, hey, we got enough juries to say that there's probable cause of a crime. Let's move forward. And this is all happening in heavily Dem-controlled areas, cities and states, even Florida. Look up the history on that. The whole reason why the person moved it to Florida instead of doing it where he's at. There's a big reason behind that and all that. I actually got that video up too. So let me know what you think in the comments and all that. Do you think Trump's going to be arrested today? Would love to hear you guys comment on this.